Welcome to the Kyle Kingsbury podcast.
Oh, thank you, Kyle. I really appreciate it. I feel right at home.
It's because we're in your home, right?
Yeah.
20 minutes from home.
My soul's here. I'm here in this tangible world so far in this human experience.
It's been a long time since I've traveled for podcasts, and I've got like a big trip right now. Obviously, starting here with you guys and the Bioculture crew in Mexico, then off to see David Weck in San Diego, and then Paul Check. I got a big, double Reno coming up on his podcast and my podcast, and a journey together. So I just really stopped traveling a lot when my little girl was born because I felt like we did that too much. My wife and I both felt like we traveled a bit too much when Bear was young. And but this has been so nourishing to come out and just have me time where I don't need to be dead, and to know like we can record and fucking have a blast and
silly goose time,
make fucking really cool content together. And I'm learning a lot from you guys. So it's been fantastic. I just want to say that from the opener with the Temes call and the ocean to the talks to everything we're doing on a daily basis. I was just saying this morning, starting the day with meditation, Wim Hof breathing, and then morning movement with Troy Casey on the ocean, and then getting in the ocean. That's going to be a hard morning routine to fuck with. I don't know. I can't bring that back to Texas. I don't know that I can ever achieve that again, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we got to figure out a way to have like 6 months of the year.
Just set up a kiddie pool in your backyard, man.
We have 3 natural ponds.
There we go.
It's not the same as the Pacific.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, this has been great, and I really appreciate you reaching out to me. It's funny because the odds of us actually getting to connect in the way you reached out to me, you wrote me a DM on Instagram, and that is a death sentence. I just want to say.
Yeah. But
my assistant Cole, who manages the whole operation, he was like, "Hey, this actually, this looks good. I think you might know him." And I was like, "Oh, I know this guy." I was like, "Fuck yeah." So it didn't just die in the field of DMs, but that was great. It was a long shot, and it's clear that spirit brought us together.
Yeah,
so
super synchronistic.
I'm excited for that. We've got a shorter time on this podcast because I'm going to run you right now, and then we're going to get Dakota Mays back on right after this. It's kind of a part 1, part 2, all in the same episode. But, tell me, you are a physical specimen, right? Like you walk the walk, you teach and talk the talk, but you walk the walk. And I really appreciate that about you. It's something that's drawn me to you guys, but also to anyone in the field, right? And Dakota as well. Like he's not just some bone skinny fat yogi. Like the dude's got muscle. He looks great. He's in the sun. He's doing all the things. He's living the life we live. And so I'm super appreciative of that. Talk about your life growing up and what got you on this trajectory, right? Because everyone has a story from Rob Wolf to Mark Sisson to Paul Check of where shit went haywire.
Yeah.
And they had to start researching for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, it's interesting because it's so multifaceted, as you know, so it's like picking and choosing whatever story I can get into. Ultimately, man, I've always had a creative, curious mind, open-minded. I never really contained myself in a box of like, this is the way, very black and white. It was always grayscale for me throughout my life when it came to receiving information, receiving people, and meeting new individuals throughout life. So in this transformation journey, ultimately, when I was a younger boy throughout my high school days, I was an explorer when it came to the psychonaut things of just like being introduced cannabis. And that was the first catalyst for me when I was a freshman in high school to just like, whoa, this feels really interesting. Like this new experience of this psychoactive substance and really connecting with the plant a bit more. And it was more for, of course, party purposes and just having a good time. But there was always this like layer of intentionality that was wrapped in it for me personally. My friends, I was doing it, not as much. That segued into, me, expanding my soccer years. I played a lot of soccer, ran a lot of track and field because I, got dismissed from the baseball tryouts freshman year. Got all the shit from my friends in that. So I was like, okay, how do I transmute this energy? Tried out for track and field, started running 400-meter dashes, 4x4s, 200-meter dashes. Really got into that world of just sprinting and competing side by side with a lot of the black dudes that are just freaking insane athletes, which is really cool for me as a skinny white dude that's just like going back side by side with them. So that was an ego boost for me that led me into that. But so I was always into activity and fitness. I was always kind of moving a lot and exploring a lot. I also got into the party stage, and I know you've had this for a chapter of your life with alcohol. I just really just never had any sort of patience with alcohol. I would numb myself quite a bit when it came to parties, just chugging stuff. I remember one night just having a ton of Fireball, which, by the way, is absolutely insane. I looked this up a while ago.
Fireball and Goldschlager.
One freaking shot of Fireball is like 20 to 40 grams of sugar, by the way. Whoever knows what kind of sugar. I looked that up. I was like, dude, I remember drinking a bottle of that. So that's like 300 grams of sugar, plus you have the alcohol, which causes all the insulin resistance too. And I remember just gagging up. There's one night I had so much of it that I was puking that cinnamon-flavored sugar bomb. It's fucking nasty. And I just remember, like, what am I doing with my life? It's like this numb, dull feeling. My friends wrote dick pics on my face the next day. I have all these freaking, like all these, like, Sharpie marks on my face. I'm like, fuck, what am I doing? You know, I'm like 18, 17 at the time. After that, you know, I got out of high school, and I had this void in my heart when it comes to fitness, when it comes to a lot of these extremes of, you know, having the camaraderie. You know, you had this too, as well as sports. And so I was like, okay, what do I do? What do I do to transmute this energy? And before I even get to that, a preface here is my little sister Nina is one of my biggest inspirations. She was born with hypoplastic left heart syndrome, which is basically like a two-chambered heart. So all throughout her life, she's 2 years younger than me, she would have these debilitating low energy spirals. Her lips would turn dark purple from the low circulation, constantly in and out of the hospital with procedures. She had 1 year pneumonia that was really deep. She came back home, just always in and out. And in December, actually, on Christmas Day of 2013, she was administered to the hospital Christmas Day. So we're having this family event. She woke up. She just couldn't move. She couldn't breathe. I remember how terrifying it was. Brought her to the hospital. We thought it was just going to be in and out one of those times, but she ended up actually staying in the hospital for 3 to 4 more months, losing weight under 100 pounds, just like absolutely like shrinking into oblivion. And her life was failing. Her heart was failing really bad. This happens. It's very common. Like most people with hypoplastic left heart syndrome don't live very long. So, you know, my mom is going in and out of the hospital, staying nights, losing sleep. My mom's stressed. My dad's stressed. My sister Ellie's stressed. We're all stressed like crazy, just wondering if she's going to survive. Eventually, in March of 2014, they were like, she needs a new heart, she's going to pass. Luckily, but, you know, fortunately, but also the unfortunate nature is someone has to die for her to continue onwards. So she received a heart transplant. And to this day, it's been her 10-year anniversary, actually, of having this new heart that is pumping, keeping her alive. And so she's gone through a lot. And just recently, last year, she had another spiral of getting diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma. So it's absolutely traumatic for the family since June of 2024. And it's been really challenging the past year just witnessing her just constantly go through these spirals, because she is such a soft-spoken, loving, sweet, angelic woman, just with so much dedication to her crafts, embroidery, artistic qualities. And just seeing her go through this, it's just like, you know, I would go back to the question of like, why is she going through this? It seems like the worst things happen to the best people. You know, why is she going through this? So during all this time, I was super inspired by the fact that I didn't have anything specific happening to me that would negate my life from going forward. It was never, so I lived vicariously through her, seeing her constantly have these gut troubles. She was diagnosed or basically prescribed a high amount of antibiotics, amoxicillin, so her gut is completely devoid of the bacteria. So that, all these little things culminated to where I'm like, okay, during this time in high school, she's going through these epiphanies, had her heart transplant. I'm like, okay, I can get into fitness, graduate high school. And one thing led to the next. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start diving into this world of optimization. Listen to a Joe Rogan podcast with Ben Greenfield talking about black ant extracts and all these weird novel things. I'm like, well, this is weird. So I went down a wormhole of listening to Ben Greenfield for a long period of time and all these different things. One thing led to the next. Basically, I went from fitness as my ultimate passion, realizing that's something I really want to get into, start building muscle, more of the jughead, just going into the gym, just lifting weights, more for like muscle and not being a skinny little runt. And then I realized that's not enough, okay? So I discovered Paul Chek, started discovering a lot of the nutritional realm, you know, getting into some of the dietary things with the primal diet, looking at the different equatorial individuals, polar individuals, you know, where are you from and how that relates to your physiology, your DNA. So nutrition became the next facet on that. Studied that, went to university for human nutrition, exercise science, kinesiology, and
Probably
college.
learn more from Czech on nutrition than
Well, this is actually funny. I'll get into that, actually. It indirectly taught me so much, because I'm like going to these auditoriums where, you know, everything is brainwashing, man. They're teaching us FDA, USD guidelines, all these things. There was obviously a lot of things that helped me when it came to understanding scientific things, biochemistry, anatomy, and physiology. I just loved those things because they made the most sense. But when it got into a lot of the applications of like what's good food and what's bad, I was like, this is all fucking bonkers. I just knew it all along. And I remember one time in the auditorium, it's like 100+ individuals in it. And I basically raised my hand because they're talking about raw milk and how pasteurization is superior to raw because you can have all these, you know, listeria getting from it. And I'm like, what the fuck? You can actually get listeria researching it more from spinach than you can from getting from, like, it's just wild stuff. So I raised my hand. I'm like, you know, I actually have this PubMed study saying that, like, low-dose raw milk for infants, in vivo studies, randomized controlled trials is actually favorable for immune system health and all these stuff. And I remember she, like, totally dismantled the argument with a straw man accusation and cracked a joke about it. Like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just a kid who's going to school. And she was like a 60+ year old, like one of my, you know, professors or whatever. And everyone in the classroom laughed, and then they went back on to the USD guidelines shit, the food pyramid or whatever. And I remember just in that moment feeling so isolated and alone with the things I was learning in school. I was like, I'm not going to stop. Fuck this. This doesn't dismay me from where I'm going with all this. So just kept relentlessly studying the nutrition and whatnot outside of the educational system, Rockefeller. And that led into like, okay, shit, there's a void here. What am I really missing? It's spiritual connection. It's connection with a higher divine light. It's God. It's family. It's community, right? It leads into like some of these areas of like, what is true longevity? It's community. It's conversation. So really started delving deep into the archives of my mind, my soul, meditating more, practicing breath work, just exploring different things like even testicular slapping and massaging, just like Montauk Chia related things. I'm like, whoa, I'm getting down all these wormholes. And I started making content around this time. This is actually like 2018, 2019, started posting some content. At the time with Instagram, it wasn't as much an emphasis on video format. It was mostly pictures. So started posting little things with captions about how family's important, pictures of me and my family, friends and stuff. Posting pictures of my drunk days 4 years prior, of just, getting into a lot of the party mode and just saying, hey, this was me. And like, that's not it. I don't do this, get into more of the light and everything. And one thing led to the next, just started posting the video format when it really started blossoming on Instagram. And that, just spiraled up after a year. I started getting like 50K followers, 100K followers. I'm like, whoa, I'm making an impact with this little Matrix device. Like I'm merging with Matrix in a way that's favorable for me. And so, yeah, ultimately, like, going through this creative expression through the internet and vocalizing the things I'm learning is what's led me into this path of having more of this freedom. My little sister Nina's inspiration. My older sister Courtney, she was also going through a lot with the Marine Corps. She was, brutally sexually abused in many ways. She was on a lot of heroin and a lot of things, family fights, yelling, just getting out, alcoholism. But I was always a family man. Deep down, we have a very close-knit family, and today we're all still alive and very well and knitted. But all these like little cathartic shifts in pain, the pain teacher, I didn't let it turn me into this why me. I let it turn into like, let's make something and alchemize something out of these things. So here I am today. I've coached over 400 clients on all things nutrition and exercise, and also some of the deeper notes of purpose and mindset, especially working with men as a men's coach. And now it's transcribed into making content, doing brand deals, and really sponsoring and collaborating with brands that are so well knit to my value system of vitality, sovereignty, all those things. And now I'm here, hosting retreats at Bioculture, which is like my true bread and butter essence of like my ikigai. I really feel this comes natural to me. This is something the world needs. It's what I love. I can make money from it. Putting that all together to where this is just like the life. I wake up every day just like almost like trying to find something to fucking complain about. It's a weird thought. It's like life is almost too good right now. Is there something that's going to happen? Not consciously I'm thinking that, but it's almost like a subconscious thought that comes up. It's like, why is this going so smooth, Kyle? Where's the brick in the road at any point now, I know you experience this too, where it's like, fuck, your family, your wife, your land you're on. Like, so it's been a beautiful cathartic journey of up and down, speed bumps and whatnot. And so now I'm here just sitting across from you. And, I've looked at your work. I've listened to your podcast years ago. And it's crazy how all of this just starts aligning like a mycelium network. When I have one thought, cast into the oblivion of the matrix or whatever it may be through podcasts and listening and consuming information, Paul Chek, it all bridged the gap where I got to meet Paul Chek 2 years ago and go through the HLC too, and like all these things that I never really put a direct goal setting focus on. It just happened eloquently with trust and faith and just presence. And so It's beautiful, man. It's an absolutely beautiful like journey of life. Like, it's crazy.
It's the best, brother. Yeah, the synchronicities, as we step into our dharma, those synchronicities start to line up in a way where it's like clockwork.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would say, I'm lucky or you're lucky or privilege or whatever the fuck. But it's like, no, there's a lot of work that's done to get to those spaces. Even Tony Robbins, he talks about having the shit beat out of him and growing up super poor and all the things that he went through to become who he is. And I'm not saying this guy is a saint or anything like that, but it's easy to nitpick somebody who's having success and just calling them lucky or privileged,
I went through that a lot too.
I just feel like there's I love the true story behind that, like you've had a lot to make you into who you are today. And being here with you guys, it's like, this is fucking rad. I mean, I've been doing retreats for 7 years, and like, this is A+ food, A+ people, A+ design, A+ education, all top down, just fucking rad. A+ place we're staying at.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's we're creating like the container for it in ways, but the water that's like, what's the point of having an empty glass if there's no water in it? It's like it's just empty space. So the water is the community leverage. That is the eighth wonder of the world, as Dakota. We'll tune in on him pretty soon, but he calls it the eighth wonder of the world. Is community. It's collaboration. Collaboration is the true way to just leverage and take your life to the next level. It's utilizing what other people can offer, and actually not looking at the word as use as negative, but like, I'm using you, you're using me. How do we do that in a symbiotic way where it's not I'm taking from you in a way that's like out of the betterment of me and the worse off for you? No, it's like I'm using you and your information, your intellect, your soul to create more for my life, and at the same time I'm pushing back this information. And
there's reciprocity.
Yeah,
right?
So
Tiny.
Dude, that's the core of like life itself is community. Like this human experience sucks so bad when you're in isolation. I've gone through pits of just being so isolated, driven to my laptop, driven to my phone, just like working. But I was like, for that period of time, it was worth it because it's that lonesome chapter we were talking about and referencing earlier. Owning that part of your life is so critical. That monk mode, that internal dialogue you process and work through, all the meditation, the hermit mode. Yeah, it's absolutely essential. So, if anyone's in that position right now, like own that. It's actually, you can make it fun. I made it fun where I was just like, I basically had my house in Arkansas just actually a year and a half ago, had mold exposure that pushed me out, which is where I'm living now in Sayulita, Mexico at this moment. But ultimately I would be grinding for about a year, 2 years, just enjoying having all throughout the seasons. My garage I pimped out into, I had a plunge, an ice plunge, I had my workout equipment, I had all the mats down, I had all the fun things, red light therapy, all the gadgets. And I would work on my floor desk on my laptop with natural light in my eyes because I was so obsessed with circadian function at the time. And to where I was like, no matter if it was 20 degrees outside Fahrenheit, it was like freezing cold temperatures, I would bundle up, my fingers would be so cold typing on it because I was like, I can't be upstairs in the box, it just wasn't going to happen. And I've always had that too deep in my essence of this entrepreneurial spirit, this ability to just realize that I don't want anyone to tell me what to do. I'm very stubborn in that way, and I know you got that too, where it's like it comes at such a light for me. But yeah, just grind away at this laptop, working on things, building up courses and whatnot, and here I am again, just like, wow, like all that grinding in a way that was presence grinding. It wasn't like the grinding like the workaholic energy. It was like I had purpose through it. So I was penetrating that life force through all the things I was creating, to where now it's just like I have so much more free time, which is so interesting. Like all those times I didn't have free time, now it's created the freedom. So
yeah, absolutely,
it's
brother.
Beautiful.
That resonates big time. What do you guys see going into the future?
Yeah, we were just asked that actually in the circle. You might have heard like Vishal asks, like, what is your 5-year vision with Bioculture?
Yeah.
Specifically with Bioculture, man, we want to turn this into an all-encompassing, holistic brand where it's something that is incorporating the community leverage, whether it's the internet, having like a school or circle, but it's also leveraging products that really serve people in a holistic fashion through natural remedies, right? Connecting with maybe cosmetics in the future, expanding it into that industry. We have clothing we're launching this year with 100% organic linen, shirts, organic cotton hats, and representing the brand that is really just embodying the going back to the basics. So ultimately, it's hitting all these different industries, similar to like almost what Amazon's done. I mean, if you go on Amazon, like they have all the different stuff, other brands are on there. But they also have their own brands in every freaking industry. Like, it's insane. Like, they got gadgets. They got, like, air purifiers. They got the most wild shit ever.
Batteries.
That's just batteries. Like, anything really is Amazon at this point. We're basically competing with Amazon. We're competing with the Nikes. Like, they're, speaking of competition, not really competition, but at the same time, we need to fucking control-alt-delete these companies that are destroying the planet, making people sick. Poisoning the water, poisoning the air, polyester materials, plastics, petrochemical derived things. Like, we're here to eliminate and evacuate all of that shit and replace it with what we're offering, which is complete, natural, holistic things to bring people back into their embodiment within themselves. This could be the cosmetics. This could be obviously expanding the retreats, but also taking the retreats to the next level through a festival. Like, we really want to embody the music and arts. We want to embody the healing modalities within it. Sin alcohol, without all those things that give us into that, that spirit, the spirits of like taking us away from center line. So ultimately, that's where we see this is getting land, having people on land. That's the big picture. Us coming together and having a symbiotic culture, bioculture of individuals working together and, just making it to where it's leveraged through nature and what Mother Earth is providing us every single day. So that's the foundation to it. Just expanding in all these different industries and colliding it to the people and making just millions of lives impact.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Keep going, brother. Reach. So good. Where can people find you? Where can people come to these retreats if they're interested in it? This is, like I said, A+ from top to bottom. I'm stoked to see what we can create together in the future. But where can people find you in particular, and where can people learn more about these retreats?
Absolutely. So I go by CVC Wellness. It's kind of my little archetype online. So pretty much if you just look even just on Google CVC Wellness, you'll find everything on me. But you can look at cvcwellness.com, go to @CVC Wellness on all platforms. I'm very active on Twitter, very active on Instagram especially. So here to provide that fortified satirical content, just shitting on things, but also educational, and just here to keep it light. So that's where you can find me with all this.
Beautiful, brother. And as we'll mention here, for biocultureretreats.com is where people can find.
Exactly. Got that right.
Cool. This will all be in the show notes, and you'll hear it a second time when we get Dakota on in a minute.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Much respect.